Zanti. Welcome as Hollywoodbets brings you Game On. And you know what? It's Game On out in England in the race for the championship, of course. And, we'll have Shane McGregor breaking that down. And it starts off the show right now. And as far as the DStv Premiership, the race for second place is rather exciting. And, of course, Jerry Skusana will be joining us later on in the second segment of the show. And we'll also focus on the Hollywoodbets Super League. And you know what? It's exciting times and a super contest, of course, out there. And well, it's live on SABC One every weekend, and we have a special guest in Matlhomola Morake who will be joining us in the third segment, focusing on the Hollywoodbets Super League, a man who's dedicated his career of late to the beautiful women's game here in South Africa. But let's start with all the drama out in English. Shane, I've so been looking forward to this conversation. Firstly, let's talk about Liverpool.
Do we have to?
We have to talk about it. I've been looking forward to this chat because of Liverpool. West Ham at home to Liverpool, 2-2. Jurgen Klopp not too happy at the end of it all, talking about the chances created and strikers off form.
Yeah, well, that's been the thing that's been happening with them for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Created so many chances, just haven't put them away. I mean, Nunes has had probably 20 chances in that time, and he hasn't scored. So it's one of those things, you know, teams go through it, but they've gone through it at the wrong time. And now he's verbalised it with Klopp, and, you know, for me, you don't do that. That's disrespect to a coach. He makes his decisions. If he tells you to go on with 5 minutes ago, you go on with 5 minutes ago. But, yeah, it's just everything has gone pear-shaped for Liverpool.
When the star of the team and one of the senior players, maybe the most senior and the biggest star of the team, shows that sort of behaviour, is it a sign of maybe things not working out at Liverpool and the stress the team is going through, including the fact that, like you mentioned, Klopp is leaving? Well,
that's the thing, you know, because of all that stress, and now it's leading out onto the players and onto the field, which is it shouldn't do, you know. Players should be professional enough to go out and do whatever they have to do. But at the moment, it's every man for himself, because you don't know who's going to be the new coach. You don't know where and what's going to happen. You know, you're just playing for yourself now, not for the club.
I have to talk about Burnley out at Manchester against United, and they should have won that game. Created so many more chances than Manchester United. Outplayed Manchester United. Still, it ended 1-1. Maybe a sign of Burnley's season, really.
Well, that is the sign of the season, not scoring enough goals. But if you look at them in the relegation teams, they're the team that's in form at the moment. They're the ones that are getting the most points, Burnley, I'm talking about. So it's a good thing for them. But there's that big battle between Forest, Burnley, and that's a big thing now as well, you know, and Luton. One of those teams are going to join Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, they're gone. Sheffield United, they're gone, you know. So he'd form at the right time, but is it too late for Burnley? And I think it is. Let's
talk about the championship race. Tottenham hosts Arsenal. You and I look forward to this game. We expected goals and excitement. We knew Tottenham would be out for the fight, but Arsenal, well, after the disappointment of the Champions League last, one wondered whether they'd be up for it, whether they'd be down, but they've responded so well to that. They're still in the race.
They're still in the race. That's where they are now, Arsenal. They've changed everything this year. They're not like they were last season with a little bit of a soft touch. And I think Rice has got a lot to do with it. They're playing him a little bit more forward now because Partey's back.
Scoring goals as well.
Scoring goals, so it's looking good for them. They'll go all the way and push Man City all the way. And after this weekend, we might show and see a little bit of a different picture. I mean, they are point clear, but Man City got the game in hand.
I have to ask you about Arsenal and the types of goals they're scoring. Rather interesting seeing them scoring from set pieces this season. A huge improvement in that regard.
Exactly.
Corners, especially.
Everything is, that's what they're working on. And you know what, without a dedicated striker, out-and-out striker, you need to score goals from everywhere. And that's what they've done. And you know, Arteta's brilliant at that. They've worked hard. He's worked with the best coaches. He's been one of the best players. So, you know, he's learnt a lot and he's putting it into practice.
Quickly, City back in the league and back to business, really, making it interesting at the top with the win over Nottingham Forest.
Most definitely, but after this weekend, are we going to see something different? They play against a Wolves team that always give them a hard time. I'm going to predict something here, and Chris will be very
City at home, I'm going to remind you.
Going to be a draw.
City at home, I remind you again.
Man City against Wolves will be a draw.
All right, at the top, it's all about who's going to win the remaining games at this point. There's not too many games to go. Arsenal at home again against Bournemouth. Do you see a surprise there?
No, Arsenal will win, and that's what I said to you. City play against Wolves, it'll be a draw. we're going to see a different side of the league this after the end of this weekend.
I'm so looking forward to next week's chat. So looking forward to all the drama that's happening this weekend and what you have to say next week in a response. But now, Burnley, they're at home still battling. And they've got quite a tough battle against Newcastle United.
That's a difficult one to call because Newcastle are hot and cold at the moment. So I don't know which way it's going to go. I think a draw's on the cards. In that one, because the big problem here is Forest come up against Sheffield United, and Forest will get the job done. Now, even though they haven't been in the greatest form, I think Forest will get the job done here. So that's going to make the extra 3 points, and that's going to make a big difference. Burnley have to win. Luton have to win. Simple as that.
Tottenham with 2 tough games in consecutive weekends. Yeah, they've got Liverpool coming up. Liverpool at home, of course. Tottenham away this time around. Is the title gone from Liverpool? Is it done and dusted?
Done and dusted.
You've lost hope.
Liverpool have got to be careful that they don't lose out on their 3rd position because Villa are catching slowly but surely. I think they might just run out of games. But
and Villa away at Brighton, by the way.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to say a draw here.
Where with Liverpool and Tottenham? Where's it gone wrong for Liverpool? Yes, we've talked about the strikers, but defensively as well, it hasn't quite been as solid as in past seasons.
Well, that's the other thing. You know, they're letting in goals, which they haven't been doing up until now. I just feel there's discontent in the whole team at the moment, and that's basically shown on the field. You know, you're not scoring goals, and Van Dijk, it's the first time I've seen him vocal and speaking up, and he's talking about that we're not scoring goals. So he's putting pressure on the strikers, you know, and I think there's just a lot of discontent within the camp. I think, as I said to you, against Spurs, a draw here.
Now, with Liverpool and the uncertainty of the future, who's going to be the coach, who's going to stay, does Salah stay, does he move on? Do you see them being the same force next season? Do you have hope for them being in the title race still next season with what you've seen this season?
It depends on who the coach is and who comes in.
There's been speculation of late.
There's a lot of speculation of the Dutch guy, Salt. If he comes in, he'll play a similar type of football to Klopp, which I think suits Liverpool, suits that team. If I was him, I would make a few changes. I'd sell a few players and bring in new blood. He's going to have to do that.
Name 1 or 2 you'd sell.
Salah must go and Nunes must go. Simple.
You've given up hope on Nunes. You don't see the potential.
I've given up hope on him. I really have.
Well, have Liverpool fans, the rest of the Liverpool fans across the country, given up hope on Liverpool for next season, maybe, for the future, if not this current campaign? Thank you so much to Shane. And, well, we'll keep tabs on what's going on in England, come back and put him on the hotspot next weekend. Now, coming up on the other side of the break, we've got Jerry Skosana talking all things, well, DStv Premiership on the other side of this.
Check these guys. Let's show them how to do that. I see it. Let's have a
your feet like this.
Let's see how you play.
Move your feet like this.
Welcome back as we now shift focus and look at what's happening in the local game, the beautifully South African game. And of course, we've got a goal-scoring machine in his day in Jerry Skosana. But Jerry, what's coming as follows? Firstly, they lose to ETS Galaxy. Then they come up with quite an interesting result in beating Chipper United. Of course, Chipper United have been one of the sides that's been on form over the last 2-3 months.
Yeah, Caesar, I think, you know, if you put a blame on Chipper United, I can take it to the players. Because they might have not given it all to play Swallows. They're only looking at playing Orlando Pirates in the Nedbank Cup. So I think that can be the big factor. Because consistency sometimes in players is not something abahlala.
But I was coming in East London a lot. Chipper United, the former East London, the supporters in East London. Swallows goes to East London, do what no side has been able to do.
2-1 against Chipper there in East London. And that's why I thought, you know, players would always rise to the occasion. But yeah, I think in the Nedbank Cup, nobody wanted to get injured against Swallows because they are looking at this game that is going to be happening.
It is just bad. Now, at the bottom, they lose. And then they go and beat Amazulu in the derby. When they land Amazulu?
I really don't know with our.
Besides the case, then won't give the bottom half of the table.
Yeah. It's so difficult. You
Yeah.
also look at the Real AM, the way they are struggling. I mean, also losing 4-0 to Orlando Pirates. And
Hey, Pirates are shama goal lately, no?
Eish.
But they're preliminary lately. They're entertaining to watch.
They are. But for me, it's the time factor.
Yeah.
Already Sundowns have wrapped the league.
Sure.
Now they are just coming up, but hey, still is, man.
Well,
man.
they're competing for second spot, the Pirates. Pirates got them a goal, they're winning games. Stellies got them a goal, they're winning games. But not going to Rainers, no 5 goals. 5 goals, no chamang. Back in the day.
Eish, Ikram.
Yeah.
Ikram.
Yeah.
No, my man. Ikram. Loyal funny nickname. You know, you remember when you talk about Shane McGregor, when he starts scoring consistently, they will say Pindamzan. It's like a spindele. It's something nice. That's what Ikram is doing. I mean, for me, scoring 5 goals in one game, whoa, it's a big thing. It's a big thing as a player.
Steve Barker, what's he doing right this season? By improving with Pistelis?
I think the discipline side of it that Steve is bringing to the players. Remember, players that are not behaving, they normally get the exit.
Yeah.
And those that are remaining are the ones that are doing the good job for Stellies. So I think for me, Barker is more on the discipline side of players rather than the quality of players that wants to play, but they don't have the upstairs that will hold them into the game. So I think that's where he's working, the upstairs of the players, and he's doing well.
Yeah, well, I have to ask you, Pirates born, many exciting young players, exciting players to watch. Talk to me about where the goals are coming from creatively and where the strong point is for Orlando Pirates.
Tito is doing great. Maswangani, no, serious. And I've seen another thing where supporters are asking, they are pleading, in fact, not asking, but pleading to get the jersey number 10 to Tito.
Yeah,
because he's doing a good job.
Lebo.
Really, I mean, these are the kind of things. I was complaining about myself to say, the jersey number 15 that brought the star, that Orlando Pirates jersey is always on the outside and it doesn't sit well with me. But look, it's the club policy and they do as they think is right for them in terms of jerseys to give to players. But look, there are a lot of players that are doing well coming into the Pirates fold as young as they are.
Now, who for you is the future of Pirates outside of Utito?
I think, can say Mufukeng.
Mufukeng. Because some are saying Mufukeng should get 10 or Tito 10.
No, for me, Tito should get 10. Yeah, well, maybe Mufukeng, let's give him the 15, man. He must hold that star.
Now, I must ask you, it's Stellies in the Pirates, because we're almost at the end of the season. Sundowns is winning so comfortably. Do you see them able to compete next season?
Yeah, I mean, only the consistency. Only the consistency part. That will be determined by this coming weekend where Stellies are playing Sundowns. So that's where we need to look at the two teams, local football, because both of them are more fighting in terms of the record breaking. I mean, unbeaten in 25 games. That Stellies, Sundowns is more than that. But look, let's wait for this Nedbank Cup over the weekend. That's where we will see the big difference between Sundowns and the number 2 team that is following them in the league.
Ziawa East London. Cheaper Pirates. And Ute Cheaper Mzambe.
Is it not Klebecha?
Klebecha, I mean.
They're taking
yes,
it to
I beg your pardon. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Ute Cheaper maybe lost focus in the league, focusing on this game. Still a game to watch.
Yeah. A huge game to watch, honestly. A huge game to watch.
Do you see Cheaper possibly coming up with a big upset for my Pirates fans?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, really. I mean, Pirates are in a good form.
Yeah.
And the way they are playing, it's so exciting and it always attracts a lot of supporters to come and cheer them on. I think that's what they'll be getting in Klebecha. So, yeah, I will give it to Pirates to win this one.
Now, it still is the Sundowns is another game that's hot. Really, Nedbank Cup hasn't disappointed this season. Maybe for Chiefs fans, they were let down. But Lama game, really, for Mamakota fans, Ashisa won.
Ashisa won.
Yeah.
Ashisa won.
Still is Sundowns.
My number 1 game in these two, obviously, it's still is Sundowns.
Yeah.
Because that's where we'll be seeing real South African football.
Sure.
you know, because Sundowns have already wrapped up the league, but Stelis are just doing good. I mean, they won 5-0, they won 3-0 midweek. So, look, they scored 8 goals in 2 games, Stelis.
My friends with Sundowns were so disappointed with the exit to Champions League. But, the league, done dusted. African League, done dusted. They're looking at the treble still this season. Ulani Mugwena is doing everything right.
He's doing everything right. I mean, there was a comment where he just put it himself to say, hey, I'm getting tired. Players are even asking me, when do you sleep? And they said, how can you sleep when you've got more than 42 players with a lot of games in between?
Yeah.
That's why I always say, give credit to Roland. He's been doing a fantastic job because he's holding Sundowns to be up there with all the difficulties of being a coach in terms of coaching a team that is involved. A week, they play 3 games. You know, it's so huge. But for him to get the players right, get the players' mentality, ukuthi ayofocus gaming, the credit must go to Roland. I mean, when umsebenzi omuhle kakhulu.
I mean, one of the games of the season, of course, happened on Thursday, Sundowns against Kaizer Chiefs. And to break down what happened in that game, we've got SABC One commentator. That, of course, is the great Brian Mufokeng, who's part of the team here at Game On behind the scenes, of course. Let's let him break down what he saw in this game.
Thank you very much, Sizwe and Jerry. Sundowns are the champions yet again. They defeated Chiefs by 5-1 and therefore clinched their 7th league title in a row. They are 14th overall in the PSL era. Sundowns did it in fine style in front of the Amakosi fans and were worthy winners on the day. What's next for Masandawana? A few records still outstanding. The least number of goals held by Chiefs, the best run at home in a league held by Kaizer Chiefs, and also their own record of the most points collected in a 30-match season, 71, which they fell very short of the previous season. They're just 9 points away from tying that record. Can they do it? That is the big question. Once again, congratulations to Coach Lwanda Mokoena and the entire team of Masandawana. Kabuyelo, Phakamiso 7.
Welcome back, and it's about that time we revisit the Hollywoodbets Super League right here on Game On. And the guest right now is the man who, of course, has championed the ladies' game over the last few years. That, of course, is my hero since I started my career as a broadcaster. That's Matlhomola Morake. Folks, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, man. Lovely being here.
Yeah, pleasure. And come back many times in the future. But let's talk about Mamelodi Sundowns, of course, defending champions and so impressive last season. Everyone's looking for it to be a bit more competitive this season in the way of teams that are competing with them. But when you look at top goal scorer, Rabale, 7 goals. They've also got Minis, who's in there with 6 goals. And clean sheets, Bosija, with 3 clean sheets, is amongst the best in the league. They're still setting the standard as Sundowns.
Well, without doubt. I mean, if you think about it, since the start of South African Elite Women's League, and I'm not talking Hollywoodbets here.
Yeah.
I'm talking from the start, 2019-2020 season. Mamelodi Sundowns has just been taking everything. And they haven't stopped, even with the introduction of Hollywoodbets 4 years ago. They haven't stopped. They've just been taking everything. And you must give credit to, first of all, the structure at Mamelodi Sundowns itself. Consistency of Coach Jerry being there for quite a long time. I mean, those players really believe in him, and he believes in them, and that's a good thing. But also, what helps more is that they are semi-professional, so to speak. Yes, the league is not professional at all, which is something that needs to be worked on by the South Africans. But Sundowns is semi-professional. Those players, all they do is play, eat, and sleep football. And that shows with the results. I mean, as you say, Boseja, she's from Botswana. She's a goalkeeper. And she's been doing so well. She's keeping Andile Dlamini, South Africa's international on the bench. And if you look at their strikers, Witumelo Rabale, she's from Lesotho. Over the last few years, she's also been among the top goal scorers. So it's clear that Sundowns is doing something very right, and it shows on with the results.
But Techies will be proud they'll say, look, we beat them. They are only 3 points from Mamelodi Sundowns, so they're keeping up with them more or less, as well as UJ, who are 2 points from Sundowns. They've been impressive, those institutions.
In fact, the university teams have been very impressive.
Yeah.
Save for TUT Matatsantsa. They've been blowing hot and cold. But if you look at, first of all, let's start with Tekis. Tekis, this is only their second season, by the way. Last season, in their first season, they finished 6th. That's very impressive.
Yep.
And this season, they were actually, before the midweek games, they were second to Sundowns. Now they've dropped to 3rd. And UJ, the University of Johannesburg, they now second. So it's clearly, it shows that the university teams are really doing well. There's also UWC, which is number 4. So I'm very impressed with the structure of the university teams and how they're pushing Mamelodi Sundowns. The last 2 seasons, UWC pushed Sundowns all the way. And last season, almost UWC took it, but they let it slip in the last 5 games of the season. So yeah, quite impressive from the institutions of learning.
Another institution still is doing well in the men's game, and they're looking now to come up in the women's game. And let's also talk about the likes of Kaizer Chiefs Pirates, the importance of them getting the ladies' teams together. There's talk about Chiefs possibly doing it, and how it would benefit the league.
You know, Stellis is doing so well in the DStv Premiership. And I was beaming from ear to ear when I heard that they actually have a team.
Yeah.
They've bought the franchise of Métis, which is playing in the Sasol League.
Yes.
That's very good. That's where you need to start. But now, what does it say to Chiefs and Pirates? My honest opinion is that should Chiefs and Pirates have teams in the Hollywoodbets Super League, this league will blow completely. I mean, I'm running a space every Sunday night, and we've got guests from across the continent.
Tell us about that platform.
Yes, before we get that, I've got guests around the continent, and they were saying that the Hollywoodbets is the most impressive league on the continent, and they were asking how is South Africa getting it right, and we had to give some answers of what we have. Look, we're not where we're supposed to be, but Hollywoodbets has made great strides in ensuring that this league is up there among the best. We should be competing now with the Europeans, but obviously since we're not professional yet, there's still some things lacking. But Hollywoodbets has really come in and done a good show. And back to the space. On this space, we talk anything women's football. First of all, we focus on the results in the Hollywoodbets Super League. And then we talk anything Banyana. We talk African football on the continent. We take women's football around the world.
Including South African players abroad.
South African players abroad.
What's that space for people that want to know about it?
It's women's footy on Sundays.
Yeah.
Every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. And you should be there. It's listening. We've got your coach Shorty there. Simpiwe Dludlu. You've got coach of UJ and Tabile Mudiko. You've got coach of assistant coach at JVW Unati Mabena. So it's quite a variety of views, but very exciting views.
Quickly, JVW, you mentioned them. Many people don't know. They've got structures that go all the way down to what, under 14, is it? Maybe even lower.
Yes, girls. And they're doing so well, and you can see also with the way they structure their communication when they go out to play. First of all, they give you the schedule of the senior team, and then all these other teams. So, in essence, it tells you that there is a structure in that team. You know, when in 2012, when Janine started that team, her main role was to say, "I want to give opportunities to players." And as we speak now, all around the league, in the Hollywoodbets Super League, you've got players that have been groomed at JVW, and that is exactly what Janine has been talking about. And it has really helped grow this league. They're pushing. In fact, last season they finished 4th, their best finish ever. So it's clear that they really want something this season. They someday want to win this league, and the way they're going, I think they're going somewhere.
So for those of you that are wondering, when we say Janine, we're talking Janine van Veek, of course, record holder in the number of caps. How many is it, Konja, now?
185.
185.
The most capped player, male or female, on the African continent. She broke a 11-year-old record by Egypt's Hossam Hassan. So yeah,
legend.
Great
legend. So I'd like to thank the legends that have joined us today, including Matlhomola Morake, SABC, Durban. And let's not forget Joyce Kosana, as well as Shane McGregor. And thank you at home for taking the time to join us here on Game On. Keep watching the beautiful game, and see you next week.